Alright, so BlockTales. Let's be brutally honest about it and talk about what I like and don't like about the game. So this will be like a Roblox Eclipse video or coming video. So feel free to hate my opinions in the comments, and also obviously there's spoilers in the game. But luckily it's in the beginning because I'm only talking about the pre-prologue and chapter 1. Alright, so pre-prologue. So the setting right now is in modern Roblox times, so 2020s type stuff, and we have to go to a VIP convention. Along the way we can talk to NPCs that have some interesting dialogue, and I feel the game's attempt at humor just doesn't work sometimes, also because it feels like too many NPCs always have to have something funny to say, which I think makes the pacing of the game's humor fall a little flat. So yeah, and I feel like something like Undertale does this kind of humor the best. Alright, so we attend this speech and David Baszucki is speaking, but then this happens.
Aim.
You know, I guess this line is relatable because that's definitely something David Baszucki would do these days, considering what has happened on Roblox in the past couple of months. Alright, so we fight this guy, and it's our first tutorial to the turn-based combat system, which if you didn't know, also, this game is heavily inspired by Paper Mario and Earthbound, which I have played both, but not finished. Anyways, I like how there's a big screen telling you what to do in the game and how to do it and all that stuff. And the combat is like Paper Mario, of course, so we're off to a good start, and thankfully, this game is beginner friendly. Alright, so after we fight, this happens.
Aim.
So now we're back in the olden days of Roblox, and this guy is here, and if you're like me, then we'll fight him and then lose. But okay, let's actually get on with the game though. Alright, so we have to go to the Roblox HQ, and while we are there we can find stuff like ticks and all that kind of stuff, usual stuff that rewards exploration, and we have to fight enemies. Also, a thing I'd like to mention about the battling in this game is I really love how the victory music in this game sounds. Like, it sounds way more accomplishing and sounds like you actually did something compared to like Paper Mario's victory music, which I'm not saying it's bad, but honestly I just really like the BlockTales victory sounds. So yeah. But another thing that I hate and that it's annoying about this game is that when you're at low health and you're battling, the music starts to get all weird and stuff, and I don't know, instead of sounding like something interesting or with weird effects that make the music like dreary, like instead it just makes it annoying as hell. I mean, just listen to this. Doesn't this just sound annoying? So yeah, for our first couple of enemies, there's not much like strategy involved, but this is the start of the game, so stuff will get a lot more complex later on. So now we have to find Shedletsky, and we find Shedletsky potentially getting slimed. So yeah, let's fight these two peeps. So yeah, this is where the battle gets a little bit tougher and a little bit more strategy is involved. And then yeah, we save Shedletsky and all that stuff. Then he tells us all this stuff and that he's gonna give us a sword, and then we get going with the game, and you know, there's occasional NPCs, and then there's more enemies to fight and all that stuff, and they also drop items. So yeah, and we have to fight these guys again, except there's a Nubador instead of Machador. And then we start to get to a point in the game where we finally get these things called cards, which are basically just like the badge points from Paper Mario, except the ones in BlockTales are a little bit different, but are still the same concept. So now we go into the caves, and we have to fight more enemies, and there's more spots where we can find items, and we can also get items off of killing enemies again. And then we eventually get to this ant boss, which is kind of an interesting boss, honestly. So more depth and complexity is starting to show up in the game, which is good, and it doesn't feel overwhelming or anything, so it's all good. Alright, so now we're gonna stop there and talk. So you know what? BlockTales is actually kind of good. And honestly, I think that the pre-prologue update for this game was honestly necessary. It gave a more beginner-friendly tutorial, and it just has a surprising plot that keeps this game kind of exciting, honestly. I also like the aesthetics of this game, although in the pre-prologue, I feel like it doesn't really look that good and it doesn't really fit the modern aesthetic that it's going for. But once you get to the actual prologue, then that's where the aesthetic really shines and where all the clunky-ish animations actually fit with the aesthetic. So yeah, it's honestly a good aesthetic. I feel like the classic art style is almost getting old, but I feel like BlockTales does this aesthetic pretty good, so yeah. And for a Paper Mario RPG inspired game, I feel like a lot of different stuff could have been added to BlockTales in the beginning and in the main game, because you can tell that this game was heavily inspired by Paper Mario with the gameplay aspects, so yeah. But I mean, the combat is fine and the cards are fine, and actually, I don't know if you've seen in the prologue, but you can actually talk to this guy and get a bunch of extra cards. And these are supposed to be cards to like make the game harder, but in exchange get like a reward or just, I don't know, make your life harder. But I really like these additions because similar to Paper Mario, it's like the hard mode, except like there's a lot more options that you can do with it, so it's just all good. So that's probably one of my favorite additions to the prologue. And I mean, other than that, just like comment what you want and all that stuff, and like, sub, I don't know, do whatever you want, and see ya.